Welcome back to a new episode of Nighttime in the Morning. We are excited for the episode's content.
We're so happy to be back for the final episode of the year. It's been a challenging year, but we're back, so let's get started.
In this show, we have a lot to discuss, from the overturning of Roe v. Wade, spring sports, whether New Jersey will finally offer self-serve gas, a local hotspot for gaming, the truth behind some myths and legends, and the placebo effect and upcycling.
Upcycling, what is it? How does it affect our environment, and how does it affect our economy? Reporter Meg DeMano answers all that in her package on upcycling.
Over the last 20 years, the rise of fast fashion has promoted overproduction and overconsumption and is a leader in pollution. Producing and manufacturing textiles like cotton acidifies the soil and contaminates water. It takes about 10,000 liters of water to produce only 1 kilogram of cotton, and dyeing textiles requires harsh and toxic chemicals that end up in our oceans. About 80% of all clothes are thrown into landfills, left to decompose or to be incinerated. There is a better way to be more environmentally conscious and stay fashionable amidst all the cheap, mass-produced clothing. That's where thrifting clothes and upcycling them comes into play. To upcycle clothing is to renew secondhand clothing and transform it into a different and more trendy piece. There are many places you can get secondhand clothing, from thrift stores to your grandma's closet. Reusing worn clothing keeps clothes out of landfills, and by transforming old and used clothing, you are preserving textiles that would otherwise be considered waste. I went to the Goodwill in Rockaway, New Jersey to check out the pieces that I could transform. I got this dress for just $10 compared to retail stores that sell clothing like this for $50. As well as saving money on discounted items, thrifting lowers your carbon footprint, which is the amount of greenhouse gases you create with your actions. By thrifting, you are being much more environmentally conscious than someone who is buying brand new clothing. Along with its environmental benefits, there are some artistic ones as well. After altering used pieces, you can wear something that nobody else has instead of purchasing mass-produced clothing. In 2019, Princeton published an article stating that 62 million metric tons of clothing were consumed all over the world. Mass-produced clothing like this releases microplastics into every crevice of the earth. Microplastics are very tiny fragments of plastics that are much harder to spot than, say, a water bottle laying on the beach. They move into every crevice of the earth and even in the food we eat. About 35% of microplastics originate from the synthetic materials used in clothing. Although beneficial economically, more clothes end up in landfills because of the poor quality and cheap textiles. Fast fashion promotes the excessive consumption of clothing. The mass production of clothing is a top contributor to carbon emissions, but what can you do about it? Upcycling encourages others to do it as well. This has been Meg DeMano reporting for Nighttime in the Morning.
Upcycling, although common practice in the past, it has seen a re-emergence with this new environmentally conscious generation as a way to protect our environment.
When you go to the gas station, an employee will pump the gas for you, but this will change in the near future. The drivers of New Jersey will finally be able to serve themselves. Here is reporter Colin Valencia with more details.
A bill that will change the policies of gas pumps while addressing staff shortages is coming to New Jersey. The Motorist Fueling and Convenience Act will give the drivers of New Jersey the option to pump their own gas. Pumping gas yourself will no longer be illegal, and places will not have the ability to ban the self-serve option. Many members of the New Jersey Gasoline and C-Store Association are in support of the bill. Members who own gas stations say that it will help their businesses. Due to COVID labor shortages, there is more pressure on workers in gas stations to get to everyone at the pump, due to the fact that there are fewer workers. Governor Murphy said that this will help take the pressure off the gas station workers and reduce the number of workers quitting their jobs. That's what this bill is about, making sure that gas station attendants aren't working so much that they quit. The law for gas being pumped by employees only began in 1949 to reduce gas station fires. The penalty of disregarding this law can be fined $50 to $250 for the first time and $500 for every other time. With this new law, a combination of self-serve and full-service sections will be put in place, giving people the option to pump their own gas while continuing to provide no less than 4 gas pumps with employee service. Alongside this, the prices for gas will be reduced for customers that decide to pump their own gas. Simply put, this bill will provide choice, convenience, and cost savings to New Jersey drivers, said Murphy. By providing a hybrid model, we can give customers the option to do what they prefer when it comes to filling their gas tanks, while also giving them the opportunity to save money. The law will also provide help for drivers with a disability. The gas stations will provide a calling device for people with disabilities to receive assistance. This will help out people who cannot pump their own gas themselves. Disabled people will also be charged the same amount of money as if they did pump their own gas. This will be a big change for the drivers in New Jersey, and hopefully, the labor shortages will end. This has been Colin Valencia reporting for Nighttime in the Morning.
It has been 73 years since New Jersey residents have been able to pump their own gas at gas stations. With this new law, we can hope to see a resolve in labor shortages with COVID left us with.
The placebo effect is a phenomenon observed by doctors and researchers. When administering a placebo pill, it states that in some cases, it's been reported that an individual who takes a placebo reports positive effects, sometimes feeling better than they did before. Reporter Seifa Omaro and Celia O'Toole decided to look more into this phenomenon.
Your mind can be a powerful healing tool when given a chance. The idea that your brain can convince your body of a fake treatment is a real thing.
The so-called placebo effect, and thus stimulating healing, has been around for millennia. Now science has found that under the right circumstances, a placebo can be just as effective as traditional treatments. The placebo effect is more than positive thinking, believing a treatment or procedure will work. It's about creating a stronger connection between the brain and the body, and how they will work together, says Professor Ted Tabchuk of Harvard Efficient Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, who research focuses on the placebo effect. Placebos won't lower your cholesterol or shrink a tumor. Instead, placebos work on symptoms modulated by the brain, like the perception of pain. Placebos may make you feel better, but they will not cure you, says Tabchuk. They have been shown to be the most effective for conditions like pain management, stress relief, insomnia, and cancer treatment side effects like fatigue and nausea. For years, a placebo effect was considered a sign of failure. A placebo is used in clinical trials to test the effects of treatments, and it's most often used in drug studies. For instance, people in one group get an actual drug, while the other received an inactive drug, or placebo. The participants in the clinic trial don't know if they received the real thing or the placebo. This way, the researchers can measure if the drug works by comparing how both groups react. If they both have the same reaction, improvement, or not, the drug is deemed not to work.
This has been Sfalla and Celia O'Toole reporting for Nighttime in the Morning.
The placebo effect is surely something that is interesting and for us to learn about. It provides a logical and scientific explanation behind why sometimes we feel better about taking placebo, rather than it just being speculation.
With the spring sports season coming to an end, it is only important to highlight the many sports teams that are a part of the program here at Morris Hills. In this package, MHTV reporters have taken the job to inform you about the teams offered this spring at Morris Hills.
This spring season, Morris Hills will be offering a wide variety of different options for those who want to participate in after-school athletic activities. From lacrosse to track, here's what is offered this year.
Lacrosse is a sport that's on the rise, increasing by about 10% per year in participation over the past few years. We were able to sit down with Jeremy Cruz, one of the boys lacrosse team's leaders, on his expectations for this up-and-coming season. Okay, so what's your name?
Tyler Fro.
Are you excited for the up-and-coming season?
I am excited. We have a promising team this year. Last year we had a group of young underclassmen of, freshmen and sophomores, and we just had to. Last year was more about rebuilding, the team bonding and getting everything together because it was their first time on varsity on a varsity field. So, yeah, this year we're incorporating everything, putting it all together, and hoping to, pull some dubs because last year we didn't have too many.
All right, what's your name?
John Hart.
How do you think you're going to perform this up-and-coming season?
Well, our defense is strong. We got 4 good guys, new LSM. We're getting all the we're playing man on man this year, not zone like last year. So I think we're gonna have a strong D, really lock down some people and hit some kids hard.
Okay. All right. What's your name?
Aiden Doyle.
Are you excited for this up-and-coming season?
Definitely. I feel like we're offensive-wise a lot stronger than we were last year. We were a very young team in general, still kind of. But a year's difference, like over the off season and currently during practice, everyone's going hard. Everyone's practicing a lot, and we're gonna have a great season this year.
All right. What's your name?
Ben Blender.
Are you excited for this up-and-coming season?
Yeah, I think we have a good team this year, and we're not as young as we were last year, so we have a good shot, I think.
All right, that was Glenn Bender, and we're done with this interview.
Yeah.
In the fall, the girls' tennis team took to court. However, now in spring, the boys' tennis team will be playing and representing our school.
Track and field is perhaps one of the most well-known sports in Morris Hills, even having its own section on the Wikipedia page of the school. Everyone expects great things from the team, as it is the heart of the athletics program here at Morris Hills.
This has been Nick Alvarez
And Juan Castro, reporting from Nighttime in the Morning.
Morris Hills has a long tradition of winning, especially seen a few days ago with our track team capturing the state sectional title. We look forward to this future that this tradition will continue on.
Many people have been to arcades, like places like Dave & Buster's. Even though it's a fun place with a lot of games, arcades didn't always look like this. Reporter Colin Valencia and Cilio O'Toole, Mike D'Amato, and Destiny Newkirk will tell you about the history of the arcade.
Arcades today aren't what they used to be. In this day and age, we know arcades like Dave & Buster's and Chuck E. Cheese, but it always wasn't this way.
The American arcade has a history that dates back to 1930. Arcades didn't always have video games. In fact, in 1930, the only thing arcades really had were pinball machines. David Gottlieb's Baffle Ball and Raymond Maloney's Balio were some of the first few pinball machines in an arcade setting. These machines were coin-operated, and players would need to insert a certain amount of coins into a slot to play. But over time, things began to change. Time for video games had begun.
Soon others would follow and other companies began producing their own arcade games. The world began to see newer games such as Pac-Man, Space Invaders, and Asteroids, all of which anyone could play. In the years 1978 to 1982, the arcade was showing significant growth because of these new games. Time magazine had reported in 1982 that the best games carried $400 USD at the end of the week. As time went on, the arcade games continued to improve with new kinds of games, machines, and technology. In some racing games, players could control a motorcycle with a plastic model. Arcades had reached their pinnacle, and because of the insane popularity of these machines, restaurants, grocery stores, and even doctors' offices began to have a machine or two in them. But all popular things began to die down. With companies like Nintendo and Sega creating at-home gaming devices, people didn't need a place to play their favorite video games. They could do it from their home sofa.
In the 90s, all the arcades started to close down. Arcades began to buy too many machines, more than players could play and use. A video game industry executive, Michael Myers, had explained, what happened is malls started closing down the individually operated arcades. They couldn't afford the machines. The machines weren't pulling the money to pay themselves off, basically. The arcades couldn't afford to keep the games. Alongside this, Time magazine had reported that the new games were sucker bait dangled to obscure the dreary truths that markets are becoming saturated and that dud games bring in no money at all. While the old retro arcade isn't something that exists today, there is a little slice of nostalgia right down the street from Morris Hills known as Marcade. The Marcade, like the name sounds, is an arcade, but it's not like a modern place such as Dave & Buster's. Unlike modern places, the Marcade holds over 100 classic arcade machines. The machines are set to free play and you don't need quarters.
So that's it, the story of arcades. Even though most of the arcades of the past are gone, there are still ways to experience the concept of arcades. This has been Celia O'Toole, Colin Valencia, Destiny Newkirk, and Meg D'Amato reporting for Nighttime in the Morning.
The arcade has such a long history, and it's crazy to see how much it's changed. The Marcade is a great way to experience the original arcade feeling.
Myths and creepy phenomena have been around for centuries. The concept of something can really freak someone out or interest them to experiment. Reporter Destiny Newkirk has researched a couple facts that might give you the chills.
With a passion for the weird and unusual, come with me as I validate or debunk these unusual facts and myths.
Have your parents ever told you not to eat the seeds of a fruit, that it will grow that fruit in your stomach? Well, they may not have been completely lying. It has actually been proven that a fir tree can grow inside of a human lung. In Russia, it was reported that 28-year-old Artyom Sidorkin was found to have a 5-centimeter fir tree in his lung. It was believed that he breathed in a seed and the tree started to grow, which caused Sidorkin to cough up blood. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be extra careful about what I'm breathing around.
Ever wondered what would happen when the sun exploded? I regret to inform you that you probably won't know much, considering that no one will know the sun exploded until 8 minutes after it happened.
It takes 8 minutes and 20 seconds for the light to travel from the sun to the earth. The sun exploding will almost instantly kill all life forms on Earth. If that wasn't creepy enough, the air that you breathe in a train station is 15% human skin. Ew! Humans are constantly shedding skin every second of the day. Though it is not harmful, it's still really weird to think about.
Speaking of human skin, the average person sheds about 100 pounds of skin in their lifetime.
According to a 2011 study published in the journal Environmental Science and Technology, people shed roughly about 0.024 to 0.072 ounces of skin per day. That leads up to 1.6 pounds a year, and the current human life expectancy is 70 years. So 70 times 1.6 is about 112 pounds of skin in a person's lifetime. Now that's pretty crazy.
Have your parents ever told you to stop cracking your knuckles? That it can give you arthritis? Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but that is untrue.
Cracking your knuckles actually causes no harm to you. People have air pockets in their joints, so when you crack your knuckles, the air pockets just pop. And don't worry, the air pockets grow back about 30 minutes after you pop them. Here's a fact that has kept people on their toes. There is always a spider within 6 feet of you. Hope you didn't freak out too much because that fact is false. It depends on where you are. If you're outside sitting in the middle of the woods, then yes, there could possibly be a spider around. But if you are in the house, the chances are pretty slim. There are over 40,000 species of spider in the world, so it's not totally crazy to assume one is around you. But science still can't determine exactly how far they are at any given moment.
Here's a fact that creeped me out the most. Did you know that the doomsday clock was 100 seconds to midnight?
If you don't know what the doomsday clock is, let me give you a quick rundown. The doomsday clock is a symbol that represents the likelihood of man-made global catastrophe. The doomsday clock was created by atomic scientists in 1947. The clock started at 7 minutes to midnight and has been at 100 seconds to midnight for 3 years in a row now. The doomsday clock moved to 100 seconds in 2020 when COVID-19 spiked around the world. The clock continues to stay at 100 seconds because COVID-19 doesn't seem like a threat that could obliterate civilization.
You know about the Titanic, right? Well, did you know that a book predicted the ship would sink 14 years before it happened?
The novel called Futility, The Wreck of the Titan was published by a U.S. writer named Morgan Robertson. The novel is about the world's largest passenger ship, the Titan, and how it sank due to hitting an iceberg. Are you seeing the connection here? That's super crazy. Speaking of shipwrecks, there are about 3 million shipwrecks at the bottom of the ocean. There are always ships going out onto the ocean, whether that is to sail or trade. There are constantly ships going out. A lot of things can go wrong out in the ocean that can cause a shipwreck. There are things like the weather or just simply a hole on the side of the ship. Next time you go out in the ocean, just make sure you bring a life vest.
This has been Destiny Newkirk reporting for Nighttime in the Morning.
A lot of these creepy facts are truly terrifying to hear about. Haunted shipwrecks, spiders, all this has me getting goosebumps.
In 1973, the Supreme Court made a decisive ruling on abortion. However, many liberals and conservatives have common misconceptions about Roe v. Wade means. Today, we will explore the true and what's fiction about the famous court case.
After 50 years and multiple challenges to the ruling, Roe v. Wade has been overturned. A monumental case in the women's rights movement, in 1973, the court decided to legalize abortion on a federal level to a certain extent. However, it is important to understand Roe v. Wade and what the ruling means, as both sides make incorrect assumptions about it.
However, it is important to understand Roe v. Wade, what the ruling did and didn't do, as both sides make incorrect assumptions. An argument often used by people who advocate for Roe v. Wade is that the overturning will lead to the banning of abortion nationwide. This is true in some states, such as Wisconsin, Arizona, Alabama, where the laws before Roe v. Wade in these states have been banned before. In 1965, the right to privacy was first argued under the court case Connecticut v. Griswold, which resulted in a 7-2 decision in favor of Griswold. This case also established the right to privacy. This does not mean that those who are against Roe v. Wade do not make wrong assumptions. An argument commonly used by people against Roe v. Wade's ruling is that abortion is unpopular amongst the majority of Americans. This statement most likely comes from the conception that abortion was generally a 50-50 issue before the ruling issued Roe v. Wade, which is little more than half standing against abortion. However, since Roe's inception, a consistent majority has been in favor of abortion and has been hailed as the keystone of women's rights and movement to protect.
However, states such as New York, California, Vermont, and our own have laws in place in order to ensure safe access to abortions. Another argument used by people who advocate for Roe v. Wade is that this ruling also established the constitutional right to privacy, and with its overturning, would be the end to this right. While yes, Roe used the right to privacy to argue this case, it was not the case that established this right. While the issue of abortion will still be hotly debated for years, we can all say that the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade will have a major impact on our country. This has been Nick Alvarez.
And Juan Castro, reporting from Nighttime in the Morning. It's clear that the overturning of the ruling will have a major impact on our culture wars in America right now. We can only wait to see what happens in the future.
We hope you enjoyed this season of Nighttime in the Morning and the new format. We appreciate your support and look forward to continuing this next year.
If you would like to see more, log in and subscribe to our YouTube page. Click the link on the Morris Hills webpage.
Click the Nighttime in the Morning logo and the bell to be informed of new uploads.
Congratulations to the graduating seniors and have a great summer from Morris Hills.
And that's what's coming down from the top of the hill.
My name is Sebastian Perez, and this is the head coach of the track team at Morris Hills, Coach Robinson. You had the counties yesterday.
Yeah, Morris County Relay Championships at Randolph.
Mm-hmm. And how did that go?
You know what? Randolph is always tough in that format, obviously, but just really excited about how we competed. Our 4x1 relay team, won the county title. Our 4x2 team won the county title. Our sprint medley actually ran one of the fastest times in the country. And we had a lot of other, good results in the field. I thought our jumpers and our throwers, vaulters, are all really kind of coming around. So very excited about the championship season.
Is there any standout players this season?
Well, you certainly got to mention Joshua Babe, right? Joshua Babe is, the fastest 400-meter runner in the state of New Jersey, and is one of the top kids in the country. So very excited about him potentially being an All-American. Coming off his football injury, it's just been pretty amazing, how much work he's done to get himself back, and he's just a great kid. So we're very excited for Joshua.
Well, you guys won the dual championships, right? Yeah. And how did that victory help you guys?
Well, it's a big deal, right? I mean, we've had a lot of success over the years, but every year it's a little bit different crew, different dynamic, and for them to come off the pandemic and to win the dual meet title, I think is a great thing for their confidence. And I'm just excited that the championships we got coming up are a little bit better for us. So just with our new coaches, so I have two of my former athletes who are working with the kids now, with Michael Baird and Aaron King. You throw in Tim Meehan. Teacher of the year, got to put that little plug in there. And then, also Brian Willer. I mean, I have outstanding coaches that I work with. So I'm really one piece of the puzzle, right? I mean, I get a lot of the credit, but, without them, we really don't have what we have, and that's kind of been the tradition of our program, right? We have a lot of people that are involved that are great people and great coaches.
Yeah, team effort.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, especially after the pandemic. How did that affect the team?
It affects the team just because, as coaches, we really didn't have direct access, and I think the dynamic here at Hills, we depend on that. Yes, we have talent, but it's a combination of the talent and the hard work. So we had to go through some growing pains, indoor, definite growing pains. But I feel like just to watch this team evolve and change has really been a pleasure. They're learning so much so quickly. This freshman class we have is dynamite, and they showed that at the Frostoff Championships, right? They were just winning everything they were getting in. They were winning. I haven't seen that in a while, so we have a lot of talent coming up through the program, and just excited for the school.
How long have you been coaching?
Oh boy. I guess this would be I'm midway through my 24th year. I've been blessed. I get a great support from administration, and Morris Hills is a special place. So it's really been a labor of love.
And why coach at Morris Hills?
Why coach at Morris Hills? Because listen, I'm biased, but it's the Mecca. I mean, there were great coaches before me, with Jack O'Leary and Frank Fox. These were really pioneers in the sport. Morris Hills probably has one of the richest traditions in track and field and cross country. You probably could argue that in the state, and it's one of the better programs in the nation. And it's just we have such an alumni base. It's just a special thing. It really is. You know, it's a great opportunity for student athletes to learn and to grow. Beyond just running fast or throwing far, jumping high. You look at the people coming out of our program. They end up with really good jobs. They're leaders in their communities, and I think that's what I'm more proud of. Is that I really feel that we're putting out a good product.
And, one last question. What's your favorite event?
Oh, my favorite event. My favorite event for me personally to coach. I mean, listen, we have a love affair here with the 4x8. Everybody knows that. Yeah, the 4x8 is. We've had so many teams do incredible things. We still have the state record in the 4x8. We have one of the fastest times run by. Like our 4x8 time is like faster than most colleges. So it's just rare to have that, and I think it's just kind of been inspiring to like a lot of the kids to be a part of that, that particular relay.